to see that we have a really good turnout tonight for our Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action Gun Violence Prevention meeting, which we do on a monthly basis. And it has been such a difficult time in so many ways, with so many terribly disturbing things happening. And it's easy to, sort of lose focus. We here are, try to be very focused on gun violence prevention, but obviously there are other things happening as well, in Minneapolis in particular, but lots of other places. If you go back a few weeks, we had Venezuela back there too. But with respect to Minneapolis, of course, the situation there is so troubling and evolving. But when you do stop and think about the people who've been killed there, of course, guns and gun violence come into the picture. So there is a connection back to that. So tonight we'll talk about, we have a great guest speaker tonight, and we'll talk about the topic that we have planned. But, if we see connections, we can follow those as well. So we have people from all over the country showing up at these meetings now. We have, people who've been with us since we were just a small group in the northwestern suburbs of Chicago, but we have people from all over now. So if you want to put your name and where you're from in the chat, that would be great. And I'm from Palatine, Illinois, definitely a northwest suburban suburb, but I have lived in, yeah.
Yes, I just want to note to everyone that we do have our live YouTube video running. If you do not want your face shown on the video, please turn your video off. But we love to see your faces. So, that would be great. And a live YouTube video is about 35 seconds behind the actual. And so if you have to go to the bathroom or take a phone call and you want to get caught up, you can go to the NWSOFA, that's Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action, NWSOFA.org website. Click on YouTube video and follow that link. And then you'll see a grouping of hundreds of videos. Click on the area that says live, and this is the current video. Thank you, Natalie.
Okay, thank you, Bill. And as I was saying, it's great to see people are putting, their locations on the chat. And I live in, suburban Chicago area, but I have lived in Pennsylvania, California, Oregon, New York, Ohio, and then Illinois. So I've hit a number of sections of the country over time. So tonight we are very excited to have a guest speaker who will be talking about the area that we kind of call secure storage. And it refers, at least that's one of the ways that people refer to it. And it refers, of course, to secure storage of firearms. And it's an area that is extremely important. In fact, I believe that I'm not mistaken when I say that some of the most effective laws that we have seen it across the United States in terms of stopping gun violence of various types, accidents, suicide, and of course, crime. Strong, safe storage laws help to are very, very important in lowering the levels of gun violence. There's a clear correlation there, and it shows that it's a very worthwhile, very worthwhile thing to try to emphasize. And tonight, our speaker, who I'm very pleased to introduce, is Steve McHugh. And he is currently the Kane County and Kendall County lead, as well as the former lead of the Illinois chapter for Be Smart Safe Firearm Storage. And he also volunteers with several other gun violence prevention and suicide prevention groups. Steve is a former senior vice president of an international marketing research company. He recently retired and has now combined his secure firearm storage knowledge and his research background to develop an Illinois secure storage survey, which he conducts every other year starting back in 2023. And he will talk about secure storage and about his surveys. And we are so grateful to have him here, and so appreciative of the fact that that you, Steve, that you have done so much work for gun violence prevention. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Natalie. And hello, everyone. I'll bring my slides up here.
Steve, how would you like to take questions today?
I think we'll do the questions at the end of the presentation, unless there's a burning question that we need to do. But just for time's sake, to make sure we get everything in, at the end would probably be best.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
And Bill,
Thank
I
you.
did put that in the chat too.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm going to be showing a portion of all of the slides that we have here. If you want a full deck, my contact information will be at the end. And I know some of you have seen this presentation possibly multiple times. So apologies in advance for the repetitiveness for those who have seen this before. So I take it that you can all see the slides okay? Maybe just a thumbs up or yes? Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Whenever I can, I co-present this with a person named John Theodore, who is a local gun shop owner. And the reason that we do that is because when we're talking to gun owners, we want somebody who's knowledgeable, that somebody, when a gun owner asks, hey, can I fit my Glock 47 in my my 357 Magnum in this biometric safe here, that somebody can answer that question. I'm a non-gun owner, and you need to have somebody that the gun owners trust and talk their language. So the survey objective here is to gather secure storage metrics and motivators that are otherwise unavailable. This data does not exist anywhere else. The secure storage objective that we have for Be Smart within Illinois is to increase the percentage of gun owners who are locking up all of their guns when they're not being carried or used, and also increase the percentage of parents that are asking about the presence and storage of firearms in homes that children and teens visit. Because even if you don't have guns, or you do have guns and lock them all up, that doesn't mean that your neighbor or friends or relatives, don't. So why is secure storage important? There's an 80 to 85% lower risk of intentional and unintentional firearm injuries for children and teens in households that lock up all of their firearms. 80% of firearms that are used in school shootings by teens came from their parents' homes or homes of friends and relatives. Also, over 200,000 firearms are stolen annually within the United States. More than half of those are from vehicles. It's the main source of stolen guns. That 200,000 is a low number. That's just the amount that is reported to the FBI. So that number is probably much, much higher than what's shown there. Okay. If you look at the percentage change in firearm suicide deaths over the past 10, 15 years or so, it is highest among those aged 10 to 19.
Oh my God.
Very scary numbers. It's up 36% among white kids and teens, and as much as 120 or 150% among Black and Asian kids and teens. That's what we're trying to prevent. Okay, so the background for the research is that the benchmark wave was done about 2 years ago in October of 23, and this most recent wave was done in October of 25, so just a couple months ago. It's a state of Illinois representative sample of English-speaking people aged 21 and over, that age group, because it's the legal age of owning a firearm in Illinois. We use a SurveyMonkey platform and sample panel. It's conducted online, so they see visuals, and 93% of the surveys were completed on a smartphone and the rest on a laptop. The total sample size is 300 for each wave, and the survey length is less than 2 minutes, so very quick survey. No groups or organizations are associated as sponsors of this survey. This is self-sponsored. The design, the study and survey design, programming and analysis is done by myself, and a friend did the charting for this. So a study like this cost about $17,000 per year to conduct this. By doing the work ourselves, it covers about 90% of the cost. So it leaves about $2,000 out of pocket, which came out of my pocket in 23. And in 25, we tried to offset some of that by doing a spot fund, kind of a GoFundMe type of thing, of which we've collected about half of that cost so far. Okay, so getting into the data now. This is claimed firearm ownership. So how many Illinois households have a firearm within Illinois? In 2023, 42% claimed having at least one firearm. That's up to 44% in 25. It stayed flat at 42% of having a gun within the home. What increased significantly was having a firearm in a vehicle. Went up from 22% to 27%. And the big increase is in urban areas of Illinois. So the Chicago area, for example, increased from 24% all the way up to 38%. So big increase in having a firearm in your vehicle. So how are they stored? Within the home, it's stored in a drawer, nightstand, or other unlocked area, 24% of those who have gun within the home. So about 1/4. And it's fairly unchanged. It was 26%. So a few more locking up their guns within the home. Within the vehicle, stored in a trunk, glove box, or other unsecured place is at 43%. So a very large percent are unlocked. Good news is that it's down 7%. So locking them up used to be at 50%. It's now at 57%. However, we just saw on the previous slide that there are more guns in cars. So the percentage of more guns in cars is increasing faster than the percentage who are locking them up within the car. Okay. So overall, this is irregardless of home or vehicle. It's the combined. So in 2023, 60%, this blue box here, claimed to lock up all of their firearms. That increased to 66% in 2025. So going in the right direction. And this is one of the measures one of the two main measures that we want to increase. So good news that that's going in the right direction. In 2023, we had expected that the number locking up all their firearms would be quite a bit higher among households that had children and teens in them. That wasn't the case. We had 63% locking them all up if you have kids and teens versus 58% if you didn't have kids and teens. So very little difference there. It increased in 2025 to 71% of all households with kids and teens locking up all of their guns. But that still leaves about 29%, so nearly a third of all firearm households with kids still having at least one unlocked, unsecured firearm. Okay, so let's look at this by type of firearm. If you have handguns only, 76% are locking up all their guns. So that's better than average. The last chart showed 66% are locking up all their guns. So those with handguns only are locking them up more. If you have rifles only, that drops all the way to 53%. So what types of guns are used most in mass shootings or school shootings? Rifles and long guns, right? Where did we say up front on one of the first slides here, where did we say that teen shooters get their guns from? Their home, their parents' home. 78% of homes that have rifles only have children or teens within them. Okay. Just quickly on this other side of the chart here, if you own only one gun, regardless of what type of gun it is, 85% are locking up all of their guns. That drops to 56% if you have 2 or 3 guns. Right. We wanted to look at, when we do tabling events, for example, at gun shows or other places, people really like the idea of biometric safes. It opens with a fingerprint, opens very quickly, so you can get to your gun very quickly, which people like, but they think that they're expensive. So we asked the question, how much do you think a biometric pistol safe is? And 85% thought that it cost $100 or more, with the majority thinking that it costs $200 or more. In reality, a biometric pistol safe can cost as low as $47. Okay. I should say too, in 2023, when we showed the data, not just these types of charts, but all of the other charts in total, the Kane County Health Department got a grant and purchased 800 biometric safes and gave those out for free across the community, which was fantastic. Like to see other communities doing that type of thing. A rifle safe. So we just said rifles are the main types of guns not being locked up. 88% felt that or thought that those cost $200 or more, with the majority saying they thought it cost $300 or more. You can buy those on Amazon pretty readily for as little as $100. So the point being that a safe, securing your gun is a small fraction of the cost of owning a gun in the first place. So if you can own a gun, if you can afford a gun, you can afford a safe. Okay, so let's get into the laws a little bit here. So new laws passed in Illinois just a couple of weeks ago, beginning of the year, that says gun owners in Illinois will be required to store guns securely to prevent unauthorized access by children and teens. And that's defined as children under the age of 18. It used to be age 14 and under. So that has widened to under 18. I think the big gray area is kind of this next line here, or an individual prohibited from gun possession, or an individual at risk for suicide or causing harm to others. How do you know those types of things? Also, how about adult children? It's pretty darn common that after your kid, for example, graduates college, or even if they're in college, age, 19, 20, so beyond that age, 18, that they're home for summer break, for Christmas break. And again, after, after graduation. And maybe they're not happy about having to be living with the parents, or that they don't have a job or whatever. So to me, this is a big gray area and something that needs to be covered a lot more than what we're currently at. It has to be locked up in a lock container. So just something like a trigger lock or a cable lock is not good enough. It has to be a container, such as the biometric safes I just showed. And it applies to any location where a gun owner stores or leaves a firearm, including a vehicle. So what is the effect of that law as of October when we ask these questions? So starting with familiarity of the law, 48% said they were very familiar with the law. 38% said somewhat familiar, 8% said not very, and 6% said not at all familiar with the law. Those who were very familiar with the law, 84% of those are locking up all of their guns. So while there is room for expansion and improvement on the law, it is the single most motivating factor to locking up your gun. 84%. If you're somewhat, not very, or not at all familiar with the laws, it drops to 51% locking up all your guns. So this is very similar to other like public health factors such as seatbelt laws or so on, that compliance really increases when there's laws, when you're familiar with the laws. Okay. So if we look across different motivators to lock up all of your guns, again, we had seen that among all Illinois gun owners, 66% are locking them all up. It increases to 84% if you're very familiar with the secure storage laws. It increases to 78% if you heard a secure storage message from a gun shop. And again, that's a reason that we want to partner with areas like gun shops. 71% if you heard it from heard the secure storage message from schools, but only 18% are hearing it from schools. I presented this to the DuPage County Regional Office of Education. They had a school safety fair with 300 people there today, just early today, and presented this information. So what's interesting here too is what's not on this chart. So organizations like Brady or BSmart are way down at 55% locking up all their guns for the reason that I mentioned before. We're not seen as the experts in gun ownership or storage and so on. They want to listen to trusted advisors, trusted firearm owners, and that's why organizations like BSmart and Brady have to partner with these other types of organizations, whether they be schools or gun shops or what have you. Okay. The other measure that we wanted to increase was asking about firearms in homes your children and teens visit. In 2023, 37% claimed to ask that question when their children go to other homes. That's increased to 44%. So again, going in the right direction. The big difference was gun owning households with children, 61% are asking about guns in other homes versus only 22%. So it's 3 times higher among gun owning households than non-gun owning households. Why is that? Probably because gun owners are much more comfortable having that type of conversation. It's less awkward for them. It's just a natural conversation for them to. And also non-gun owners, if they see some secure storage information, they may say, oh, I'm a non-gun owner. This information is not relevant to me. And so they don't even pick it up. So communication to them really has to be targeted to them and also worded in a way that they're not just throwing out the letter that comes to them talking about asking this type of question. So again, when we look at main motivators to ask about guns and storage where you're in homes that your children visit, 44% ask that question of all parents, ask that question. It increases significantly to 90% if they heard the secure storage message from Brady, or 83% if they heard the secure storage message from BSmart. But we're only getting through to about 20% of parents. So we need to target them better, especially the non-gun owning parents. The area that can communicate this message the most, can get to parents the most, it's pretty logical when you think about it, is schools. But they're really not communicating this message for the different reasons I said. Maybe they're trying to communicate it, but it's kind of put in a way that's targeted to gun owners. And so it's not getting through to the non-gun owners. So this is a number. This is an area that we can really use schools to get this through. They just need to do it in a better, more targeted way. Okay, so in summary, securing all firearms is highly persuaded by strong familiarity with Illinois secure storage laws. However, significant gaps remain. There's still risk of theft and adults who shouldn't have a gun. secure storage messaging from knowledgeable and trusted sources such as friends, relatives, gun shops, NRA, schools, healthcare, and so on are also highly persuasive. Messaging is needed to educate on affordability of biometric and other types of gun safes, especially for rifles and long guns, which are the least likely to be secured. Non-gun owners need to be encouraged and trained to ask about the presence and storage of firearms in homes and vehicles their children and teens visit. While organizations such as Be Smart and Brady are currently highly effective in this area, schools, healthcare, friends, and relatives are needed in this effort. So key action steps are to increase the scope and familiarity with secure storage laws and storage options. Anything from a public health campaign, getting the information out on the laws. I know some of our organizations within Kane County put out information about the laws. The state's attorney's office put out information just to get people more familiar with the new laws at the beginning of the year. Educate why and how to ask about guns and storage in homes children and teens visit. And continue heavy emphasis on theft and safety risk of unsecured guns and vehicles. Educate on affordability of biometric and other safes. And simply provide additional audiences for this presentation. Any folks that you think would benefit from seeing this information, would be good people to spread the word on this or take action on this kind of information, would be very appreciated. So we'll open this up to questions and discussion now. If you would like to help fund this survey, you can just do the QR code here or use this link on here. And my contact information is down here. Feel free to text or call or email if you would like a full copy of this of the deck. There's a dozen or so more slides that I didn't show you here. So just open it up for questions. Thank you.
Hey, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay, we have a question from Robin.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to know, can we force the gun shops, I mean, like sellers, include those safe boxes? I mean, I know I mean, it's probably very difficult, but can we have introduce a legislation where they automatically include those secure boxes for the owners?
Yeah, I'm sure that's a cost factor, even if they're relatively inexpensive. $50 is still a cost to them. I believe there is a law that licensed dealers do have to provide some kind of information on secure storage. And I believe most of them give a cable lock out with the guns. Many of those are never used. The majority of gun owners that I talk to, or we give out at tabling events, Be Smart gives out free cable locks. And most gun owners that I ask, do you want a free cable lock? They say, no, I've got 20 of those sitting in my closet. They simply don't use it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Second question I have, once they steal a gun, and when they recover it, can they track it back to the original owner?
So part of the new law that just passed is that in Illinois, you are required to report a stolen gun within 48 hours. It used to be 72 hours, so it is now 48 hours. But again, how do you enforce that law? If you're caught, obviously, that it's stolen and it's found, used in a crime or something like that, that person that it got stolen from is in big trouble. But that's the only way that somebody would know that it was stolen and you didn't report it.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Robin. Okay, Mr. Jim is up.
Yeah, hey, Steve, how successful have you been talking to school boards to get them to put this information out to parents on their website, et cetera? I have tried and so far failed with my school district.
Yeah, it's interesting, Jim. It's been hit and miss. In my area, I've had success with some, and then others, had a strange response from one of the local school boards saying, "Oh, I don't want to take the risk of of the Second Amendment people coming after me." I'm like, why is that? This isn't anti-gun. This is pro-safety. It's the same thing as talking about bike helmets for your kids or something. So it's very strange, but my current approach is going beyond individual schools, and that's why I'm working with regional offices of education. The DuPage County Regional Office of Education put something out at the beginning of last school year, which went to all superintendents of all the school districts in the county rather than just one school at a time. Now, the superintendents are not required to send it out, but they have all the information to put it out there, put it on their website and everything else. The conversation I had with them today is that the letter that you put out is terrific. It included secure storage information. It included information about see something, say something, which is really good because then you have all the students involved in being able to report something that doesn't look right. What it didn't include is anything about the secure storage laws, which we just saw as the most motivating thing to lock up all the guns. And it didn't include any information about asking about guns in homes that your children or teens visit. So yeah, Jim, that's been my experience as well, is that it depends on the gatekeeper, the superintendent and the board itself.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, thank you. We're going to Cecilia.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in my personal experience, at least in my area, but also in Indiana, in the gun sellers try to sell you the gun box with the gun as a set. Like they try to upsell you. And some of the shops have bundles, and as soon as, like, even in Indiana, as soon as they know you're from Illinois, they try to upsell you because they know they knew you were going to need it, right? They knew that this whole thing. So if you get it legally, if you go into a gun shop, they usually try to get more money out of you.
Very good. Thank you for that. That's a very, very good point. And those safes that they're selling you in their shop are not the $50 safes.
Exactly.
They're $500 or something that do the same thing that the $50 safe will do. Yes.
Okay, we have Rebecca next. Go ahead and unmute, Rebecca.
Okay. I have a question. On one of your very first slides, you gave a statistic that there's a very high rate of 10 to 19-year-olds suicide. Do you have any breakdown on how many of those are accidental versus how many are intentional?
Suicides?
Yeah, it said one of your first slides said 10 to 19. There was a high rate of suicides. I don't know if you said, if they're accidental or intentional.
I would say with pretty high confidence that all firearm suicides are intentional.
A
Um,
year-old would know that he's committing suicide, or could it just be playing with a gun that he shouldn't have gotten a hold of in the home?
I mean, that could be an accident, but I'll just throw out some figures for you. When a firearm is used in a suicide attempt, it results in death I believe it's 92% of the time. Any other method of suicide attempt results in death 8% of the time. So if you're using a firearm, it's almost always going to result in death. And the other thing, whether it be at the county level or across Illinois or nationally, females are much more likely to attempt a suicide, but males are much more likely to die from suicide. And the reason is because they are much more likely to use a firearm.
Okay, we have Tamara up next. Go ahead, Tam.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Thanks, Mr. McHugh, for your presentation. I thought it was extremely informative and guess I want to use the word sobering. So we're in Northwest Indiana, and Indiana, of course, is a pretty open panorama here for violence, guns, you name it. Our family doesn't come from a gun culture. We don't own guns. Obviously, we respect people for their own views in terms of what the Constitution provides them. But I had a couple of follow-up questions for you, Steve, and I wondered if you could indulge me. I am aware of the Moms Program and Be Smart, and we do what we can here in Indiana to work with that group to help educate. I think it's a very steep hill in this area, unfortunately, to do the education on safety locks as well as storage, as you mentioned earlier. There's been legislation suggested here in Indiana to give people a tax break if they were going to purchase a gun safe. But it's a really small percentage here that are impacted. And I think the numbers, I was looking at some research today before I signed on tonight, and they said that in the last 6 years, they've added 26.2 million new gun owners in the country, of which the growing number happen to be women of diverse backgrounds, African American, Hispanic, Asian American. And they were talking about the lack of education with some of these folks in terms of prevention. And so I guess my segue into the two questions is this. One is, in your experience working there in Illinois, which I know you do great work and there's a lot of progression in what you do there in the state. One, are you working with and through the community-oriented police program, COPS, which was designated as one of the lead groups under DOJ years ago to help educate communities and gun owners, and then also kind of, how should I say, blending into, say, the school network and others where there's a natural ability to communicate. I'd be interested to know about that. And then secondly, the Children's Hospital Association across the country has been very involved in the prevention of pediatric deaths by guns, both, unfortunately, an accident, a homicide by a child getting a gun and harming somebody, in the home, etc. And I understand that quite a few in the Midwest have worked with local groups to help people purchase protected equipment, say the safes. I don't know if Lurie's is involved in that. That's the premier children's hospital here in the Chicago region. Of course, there's Comer's. But I wondered, Steve, if you might be able to expand on those two things. Thank you.
So thank you for your questions. The first one, I'm not familiar with COPS. All I can tell you is that at the local level, we partner very much with the school boards as much as we can, to Jim's question. And we work hard. I'm lucky within the county that I'm in. We have very good relationships with our mayors, with our sheriff, with our county sheriff. with our health department, which I mentioned, that got a grant and distributed 800 free biometric safes. The police departments and everything else. When I went to the school boards, I had in my hand letters of support from the sheriff and from the mayor, which made it very, very much easier to get resolutions passed within the school boards. Your second question, which was about the pediatrics, excuse me, and so on. We, Be Smart nationally and within Illinois has a partnership with the American Academy of Pediatrics. Exactly what they will do, at the individual doctor level, I think varies from doctor to doctor. There is a law within Massachusetts. I shared this presentation with Christian Song in, I can't remember if she's in Massachusetts or in Connecticut, but they have a law there where the pediatrics have to have that conversation with parents about secure storage. And that's something that we'd obviously love to see in every state.
Yeah, I just wondered in terms of because the Children's Hospital Association is the arm for all the different children's hospitals across the country. I know they're doing a lot of work in the Southwest and Arizona. I would hope they're doing it there in the Chicago area with patients and others. So thank you. And on the COPS program, Steve, just as FYI, it was started in the 80s as a grassroots effort to bring the public and the law enforcement community together. My personal friend created the program as a Department of Justice. And I'm sad to say that the tragedy is that he died as a result of gun violence.
Wow.
So here, the same person that helped establish this great program in America is no longer, with us. But in any case, they have awards. They have an award and a program set out for him each year, and local police departments, vie for that grant. But it's such a tremendous program, and I know the city of Chicago uses it quite a bit, but I just didn't know if you had interacted with any of those folks through your, allied organization. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tim. All right, Joyce, you are up next.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for your presentation. I really appreciate that information. I do, and I go to my school boards regularly and have been promoting safe gun storage. There is a resistance for sure for a lot of school boards as well as pediatricians to talk about it, unfortunately. But one thing, I don't know if you've talked to the IASB, the Illinois Association of School Boards. I suspect there could be some resistance, but they do have their annual meeting in November. I don't know if there'd be some opportunity to speak at one of those where a lot of school districts would show up. My school districts have finally created some web pages and have pushed them out in newsletters. I would like to see them all the time get pushed out, and they don't. But I did mention it to my school board at the last public comments, and they said that they didn't know about it. Do you have any text that we can share with people? If you give them something that hey, just copy this and share it, send it to your school board. It might be also easier for people to communicate it if they have something sort of pre-created. I was also, when my kids were younger, I had a birthday party, and on my Evite, I put, no cat, we have allergy alert, we have cats and no guns. And really, you need somebody to model that.
Yeah.
A lot of people without guns don't think about it. And then the other thing, when kids get older, you don't always have direct contact with those parents. So if you as soon as I have any contact, when my kids were in high school, even, I would get their information. I'd ask about the gun. So really, it's just the whole thing about just modeling that and making it a normal thing for sure. But I really appreciate all you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Joyce. And thank you for doing that. That's a great example of proactively, modeling and showing people how to, get those questions out there. We do have things that are written out that we share with the school boards that they can put on their website. We do things like parent university that we do presentations that are recorded and people can watch on their own time to watch it. Try to remember another question you had within there. Yes, I did attend the Illinois summit for the first time this past November in Niles, Illinois. It was the first time, so we weren't invited as speakers, we're tablers there. But for the time being, we are trying to work with individual regional offices of education at the county level and work ourselves up to state.
So it might also be helpful if there are districts like 50, 15, and 211, they actually have pages.
Yeah.
And if we could maybe collect those, because then other school boards can just, like, one just copied the other one when 15 or 211 did it, 15 just copied once they knew about it. And that makes it easier to know other districts are doing it and they can just copy it. They don't have to think about it.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Okay, Robert, you are up next.
Think you're on mute, Robert.
Yeah, you need to unmute. There you go.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. I have a situation with an adult son who lives at this time he's living with us, and I know he's a gun owner, and I believe he has a firearm in my home. Does the liability, responsibility for that storage rest with him? And if it extends beyond that, what sort of liability might I incur if it were stolen, for example?
Okay, so remind me again, how old is he?
He's in his mid-30s.
Mid-30s. Okay, so he's the firearm owner. He's over age 18. The responsibility is his, is my understanding.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and there are fines, you know, if it is a person under 18 or whatever, fines range, I believe, from $50 up to $10,000 if that gun is used to injure or kill a person.
Okay. Okay, Robert, thank you. Okay, Jim, go ahead.
Yes, Steve, I'm familiar with Be Smart for Kids. There's an alternate program called Project Child Safe.
Yes.
Could you give us some opinions on pros and cons of both programs?
Sure. Project Child Safe is run by the National Shooting Sports Foundation, which many people see as the new NRA. I'd say the pro for them is that they do give out cable locks. I'm not sure what they're doing in the area of safes or biometric safes right now, but I know many schools and even entire cities. I think at one point goes back a while now, probably 5 years. The city of Aurora, Illinois, partnered with them because they have unlimited number of cable locks, and they are branded Project Child Safe. So they could give out 5 million, cable locks, which Be Smart could not do. And that's why cities and schools were partnering with them quite a bit. I'm obviously biased towards Be Smart. I think what organizations like Be Smart and Brady are coming to, I presented this data in December to leadership of Everytown, which is who is the parent company of Be Smart, and to Brady, and they are seeing that they have to partner with folks like gun shops and people who are more knowledgeable, because our volunteers, including myself, are mostly non-gun owners and are really not knowledgeable. And you saw it in the data right there. Gun owners are not going to be trusting or want to be listening to people who are not knowledgeable about guns.
Thanks, Steve.
Does that answer your question, Jim, or did you want more information about Project Cambridge?
It just the fact that Project Child Safe is supported by NSF,
Yeah,
to me is enough to say they're really not for kids.
yeah, I tend to agree with you. My bias against them includes the fact that right within the on the package of the cable locks, it says do not share with organizations such as Be Smart or Moms Demand Action or whatever. To me, we're all in this together. If Project Child Safe is out there saving lives and, doing secure storage, fine, I'm all for it. And let's all work together on this.
Yeah, I agree.
All I gotta say is wow to that one. Whew. But nobody else has their hand up currently, so I'm just letting you know.
Okay. Anything within the data that was surprising to you?
Well, I think what you just said about them not wanting to work together and not to share with people is just outrageous.
Yes.
Oh, Natalie's got her hand up. All right.
Yes. I have a question about the new law that we have here in Illinois, and I'm grateful that we have a stronger law about gun safety. But I know that a lot of people were very disappointed that it was not an even stronger law.
Yeah.
And I wondered what your thoughts were about where the law could be improved. What is missing? What would you like to see if they, consider, additional legislation in the near future, or
Yeah.
hopefully the near future, but in the future, I guess.
Yeah, and I think where the legislators ended up with in passing this is they passed what they felt would pass. They wanted other things within there. I know, and this kind of came up in one of the other questions or points of discussion. I think the state of Virginia has a tax incentive that buy whatever safer lock that you want, and you'll get a tax break reimbursement in your taxes. In talking to some of the legislators on this, they wanted to do something like that, but anytime money was financial was part of this, that wasn't going to fly, at least for this go around. So personally, I mean, I blue sky in my mind. I'd like to see this not just for households with children under the age of 18. I'd like to see it for that all firearms are secured anytime they're not carried or being used. Period.
Okay, we have a couple hands up. We'll go to Tamara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up question, Steve. The data that you had on the graph where you showed the youth suicides.
Yep.
Do you have data on homicides committed by youth with guns? Because that to me is the other angle on this in terms of people having the ability to have access to a firearm. At least I mean, it's in the news every day, right? So, I mean, I understand the focus on suicide. I think that's obviously very important. I know we all probably have unfortunately been
Yeah.
acquainted with that through family and friends, but I just wondered on maybe it's the data that's not being tracked by your group or your analysis, but I know, when you read about this and you hear it on the news, and, I work in policy, so I hear it often, an inordinate amount of young children getting their hands on firearms and, unfortunately, committing a heinous act that results in a homicide.
Yeah, I don't have that data within this presentation here, but a good source, I'm going to forget the name, but on the website for Be Smart or within every town, I believe it's called Every Stat. If you just Google Every Stat by every town, they have just a wild amount of information at the state level, at the country level, and so on. And you'd probably be able to find that data.
Okay, that's helpful. And I think just one final comment I'd share with the group with the focus discussion on the school boards and trying to reach people in those organizations. I know in some of the smaller towns here, municipalities, they're talking about trying to do an assembly within the community. I'd say one of the larger high school assembly areas and gyms to bring the whole community together to hear from people in both law enforcement, education, psychology, to talk about obviously the impact of crime, the impact of weapons, and the resources available for individuals, families, etc., to try to make good decisions about how they live their lives, and if they choose to have weapons in their homes, how they can take proper responsibility to secure them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an individual decision to have them or not to have them. And, as an organization, we are not anti-gun, we are pro-safety.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tam. All right. We will go to Lisa. Are you available, Lisa? Or I can come back. I see you're not there right now. Okay, let's go to Richard. Hello, Richard.
Hello.
Hello.
The gun locks that come with the guns, they're not going to be legal, right?
Them alone are not enough. It has to be a safe or a case. Yes.
Okay. Now, I think they missed the boat. I think that the ammunition should be locked up and let the guns out. It'll be a whole lot cheaper to buy a box to put your ammunition in than to buy a gun safe. Next, people 21 and on up through ever that don't have children are not going to be affected by this school stuff. They're not going to know the law. If they don't go to the gun store or buy bullets or whatever, they're not going to know the laws change. They should know, but they're not going to. I think something with the driver's license maybe could put some type of a notice in there. I don't know. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Richard. Okay.
Believe Everhart has his hand
Yes,
up.
yes.
Mhm.
Mr. Everhard, go ahead.
Yes. Well, thanks for the presentation. My my question, I mean, there's now more firearm deaths than vehicle deaths, right? And but a lot of them are intentional deaths by people shooting others wanting to. How many deaths do you think the gun safes could prevent? And do you have data about accidental deaths, like kids playing with it and it discharges because it's a loaded firearm or things like this, you know. And then second question was about biometric guns. Is there such a thing that only certain people that hold the thing can actually discharge?
So on the biometric triggers, yes, that technology exists. I think that was blocked by, I know it was talked a lot by President Obama at the time. The top technology obviously exists. The different, whatever gun lobbies, I believe NRA or whatever, manufacturers blocked that. But that is an obvious solution to me.
Right, but it would only apply to new ones, and then there's millions out there that may be lasting for a long time.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so what about unintentional shootings? You know, how many, let's say, what do you think how many deaths could be prevented if those things would have been locked up?
Accidents and so on. So up front, we said 85% lower risk of unintentional firearm injuries for children and teens in households locking up all firearms.
Right, but it doesn't mean how many that would be. It's you know, out of the whatever 48,000 people that get shot to death every year, that's not 85% of those deaths would have been prevented.
Yeah,
You know, some gangs shoot at each other or people robbing and whatnot, that wouldn't be affected by that, right?
Yeah, accidental deaths, I don't remember all the numbers, but I believe it's averages 2 a day across the US.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eberhard. Okay, Joyce, go ahead.
Just real quick, I wanted to suggest school boards, elections are next year for school boards. Make sure to ask those candidates what they're going to do to help prevent gun violence and if they're open to having that conversation, whether it's Be Smart, but they should absolutely be, ask them when they're running for office.
Yep, good
as
point.
well as everybody else running for office. That's a question we should all be asking.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. Okay, Robin, you are up next.
Okay, last question I want to ask. Okay, can this safe gun storage message can be advertised? You know, when we're driving, and normally they will say, "Okay, don't drink, no, don't drive if or stay sober." Some kind of that kind of. Can they post it there because when they're driving, people do read it? Can we? I don't know who would do that, who does those messages, but that way it would be so quick. Everybody driving on the freeways, so I mean, I'm just asking if that could be done.
Yeah, it's an idea. I think anything is open to trying. So, yeah.
Okay, Jim.
So, this safe gun storage bill was worked on for a big group. One of the things that I had wanted to see in that bill was that if you did not secure your gun and that gun was used to commit a crime, commit injury, or kill somebody, that the gun owner that did not secure the gun would be held complicit with that crime. Right now, it's a fine as much, I think the biggest fine is $10,000. Big deal. Big deal. So somebody just asked, what else would we like to see? I think the gun owner that carelessly leaves his gun unlocked and somebody gets it and commits a crime and injures somebody else, that gun owner is part of that crime. And anybody else has any other opinions, but that's to me that until we make it, and my logic there is, if you remember years ago, parents were holding drinking parties for teenage kids, and kids would get drunk at the house, hop in their car, go out and kill somebody. Once we made the parents responsible for that, those parties stopped like turning the lights out.
Yeah,
So
I think it's a very good point, Jim, and I don't disagree with you. And many of you are probably familiar with the Rifle Act
Yeah.
legislation. So it kind of goes along your line of thinking. It's not the owner, it's the gun manufacturer who is then financially responsible for paying for the cost of gun violence.
Well, my opinion though is the gun owner.
I understand.
Yeah,
And
the gun owner, if they don't secure
Yeah.
their gun, until we make them responsible for whatever happens to whatever their gun is used for. And you can, somebody asked a question earlier, can you trace a gun back to the original purchaser? Yes, there's a serial number on every gun. And yes, you can trace it back to even the store where it was bought at. So just my opinions.
Yep.
Definitely. Okay, let me go back to Eberhard. Hello, Mr. Eberhard again.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on what we talked earlier. I did a little searching there. So it says here 450 about accidental gun deaths, about 1% of all gun deaths. And that's a sad number, but let's say it's on the lower side versus suicide. 62% of all firearm deaths were suicides.
Yeah.
Like 27,000, almost as many people as die in car crashes or vehicle crashes. That's a staggering number. And I think there's two parts to that. One is accessibility of a gun, and the other one is suicide prevention in general, which we lack in mental health support.
Definitely.
Yeah. So suicide prevention is when we talk about secure storage, it's easier to prevent a child or teen firearm suicide, because they're not the legal owner of a gun. It's much more difficult. The highest rates of suicide are older males. Regardless of the trend in the increase, the overall amount of firearm suicides is among older males. And they're the gun owner, so that's a lot more difficult to prevent.
Thank you. All right, Richard, go ahead. You are next.
Hi. It's looking at you right in your face. You see that gun safe and you see that pistol in there, they'll just steal the safe. That's not safe at all. They'll go somewhere and crack it open. That's it.
All right, so
They might not see that.
these safes come with a cable that secure it down, so you could tie it, secure it to a permanent piece. They also, if you lift this foam, there are 4 pre-drilled holes at the bottom that you can screw it into a floor or a secure piece of furniture or whatever. So that prevents them walking away with the safe.
Okay, Kathy has her hand up. Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, hi, thank you for this very interesting and informative presentation this evening. I had heard that you hear of gun owners that say, well, I have to protect my family. I have to have it ready and going so when somebody breaks in. But what I heard was only 1% of all shootings are done in self-defense.
Yeah.
Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I don't know the exact percentage or whatever, but yes, it's some other numbers I have heard is that 70% of all home intrusions are done when nobody is home. So it's very rare that somebody is breaking into your home while you're there, you know.
Mhm.
If the intent is to steal something or whatever, then you're going to break in when nobody's home. I think, it kind of leads to a question too of if you decide to not have a gun in the home, what are your alternatives? I choose not to have a gun in my home for various reasons. And I keep my car keys on my nightstand so that if I hear somebody breaking in, I'm not overly concerned about that. But if I do hear that, then I turn on the car alarm.
Oh,
Yeah.
good idea.
All right. I do not see anybody else with their hands up at this moment, and it is 8:20.
Yes. Well, I want to say a huge thank you to Steve for a great presentation and an amazing job handling so many different questions coming from all different areas and, ideas that I had never thought of before.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
Well, we're very, very grateful for the work that you're doing and for the fact that you were able to, give us so much time today. And, I hope people made note of the information about how to help support your survey. I think the surveys are an excellent way to show how valuable what you're doing is in terms of promoting safe storage and showing that how it can make a difference and what needs to be done to make it more widely accepted and done. So and I want to thank everyone who came tonight to listen and participated with great questions. And I think it's a little late to get to our information about the ratings of gun law, states' gun laws, but
Yeah, and by the way, it's only 26 states in the U.S. have secure storage laws.
yes, it's shocking. There are so many that have no laws about keeping guns secure.
Mhm.
I was stunned when I started going through that data. And we're very proud that Illinois has got rated second overall for gun violence prevention legislation. And then, of course, there's always the caveat, but yeah, we do still have crime, but it's because we're surrounded by all these states that have terribly weak laws. And, I think that's very valid, but it sometimes does get used by people who want to say, well, it just shows that laws are no good, but that's not true.
Right. Natalie, did you want to take the hand raises that we have? We have two.
Up to Steve.
Steve, did you want to take the hands?
I think Steve has had a long day.
Yes, I have nothing but time. I'm happy
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
to field questions.
Okay, let me go to
Thank you.
Beulah because her hand has been going up and down, so I don't know if it's a connection issue or not. So Beulah, if you can unmute. See if we can get you. There you go.
Can you hear me?
I can, Beulah.
Okay. My first question is a statement. Do you think that the reluctance is for people to do something, on the superintendent level or whatever level, that they're fearful that this is going to push the young person or the individual towards mess with guns?
I'm sorry, that was breaking up. Can somebody repeat the question?
Beulah, you kind of broke up. Can you repeat your question, please? Oh, I don't know if we have a connection type aspect. Beulah, can you say something just to see if I can hear you? Okay, I am not hearing Beulah, so this might be connection related. All right, Jim.
Yeah, Beulah's been kind of bouncing in and out the
Yes.
whole session here. So I just wanted to make an announcement regarding the Rifle Act. We have asked Cook County to pass a resolution in support of the Rifle Act. They will be hearing that at a committee meeting next Wednesday morning at 10:45 in downtown. Lake County will be it'll be at a committee next Tuesday afternoon, I think at 1 o'clock. DuPage County is also interested in this. And Steve, I am in contact with a member of the Kane County Board who is interested in proposing this. I will send you this resolution so you can maybe help support that resolution in Kane County.
Fantastic. That'd be great. Thanks, Jim.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's go to Laverne. Hello, Laverne. Oh, we lost Laverne. Laverne, where'd you go? Your hand was up. I know I went to unmute you and then your hand went down. So if you could please put your hand back up, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, let's go back to Beulah and see if she is audio ready. Let's see. It says connecting to audio. So I don't know if she is connected. Let's
How about
try.
Joyce?
Yeah, hold on. Okay. Okay, Beulah, go ahead. Say something.
I got cut off a while ago. I don't know if it's my crazy or
I think it's connection related.
Did you get to hear any of my questions?
Steve needed it repeated because it kind of was breaking up.
Okay. Do you think there is a reluctance in trying to put safeties in place because they feel that this might cause a young person or individual to go towards a weapon, as my son in the military calls them? Because like he says, all guns are weapons. And the second question is, has there been any evidence that these mass shooters had prior training? And the last question is, how often should an individual check to ensure that their weapons are secure?
So on the last question, how often should they check? If you're storing it in a biometric safe or something like that, I think there's different intervals that you're cleaning your gun or maintenance or whatever. And the gold standard is to secure your guns separate from ammunition. So them being locked up in two different places. But, I don't know if there's any one specific rule of thumb on how often you're supposed to check your locked firearm. But I didn't follow your other two questions. My apologies.
This may be a question that you might not have available. I was just asking a question that I guess is for anybody to answer, or we'll have to look into it. Was any of the individuals that have done mass shootings had prior training?
I'm sure that varies greatly.
Yeah. And the first question was, the powers to be, is there a reluctance for them to bring rulings forward because they feel they might encourage a student or individual towards the messing with guns? And I said, as my son calls them, weapons. I was raised around rifles. My daddy was a hunter, and he started telling us at 5 years old not to mess with those because that was the means for us to get food. So he didn't hide them. They were out in the open. I said I felt like I was in the Wild West because at New Year's he shot his rifle every year that I can remember to bring it in the new year.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to answer your question. I think there's various opinions on, do you introduce firearms to children, and if so, at what age, so they, know what to do if they come across them. I think education for children is a good thing, so they know what to do, but they are not the ones responsible for guns being locked up. It's the owner's responsibility. Back to Jim's point of if they're the ones responsible, let's have the laws directly affecting them.
Yes. Okay, we will go to Joyce and then Laverne. Hello, Joyce. How you doing?
Yeah. Oh, hi there. So I'm glad to be on this call because this is a big issue for me. As you know, I'm from Massachusetts, a very small town. Couple of thoughts. Sandy Hook, Connecticut. And I have lived in that area at one time. If memory serves me correctly, the shooter killed his mother first, who had trained him how to shoot a gun. So there's the homicide. And then he went to school and he killed a lot of 6-year-olds and teachers. So there may be statistics on that type of thing, who commits homicides, and then who commits suicide after committing a homicide. I'm sure. But the point of introducing myself tonight is so that I would love to call on you, Steve. I'm a chair of a small town Democratic town committee, and I have all these linkages now with Indivisible, at least 2, if not 3 in this area. Plus, I thought I was on a phone bank the other night. Apparently I was not, but it turned out to be other chairs of other Democratic town committees. And they want to join up with my Zoom meetings. So it would be an opportunity, because you're well versed on a particular issue, and maybe I can persuade people that have connections with school boards to show up too.
Yeah, that'd be great. Happy to discuss further.
So I took your information, email and phone number, so you can expect a call. I'm Joyce Carpenter Henderson from a small town called Clinton, Massachusetts, about 15,000.
Sounds great. Look forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Okay, Laverne, you are up next. How you doing?
Okay, I have just like a few comments that are kind of interesting. My dad used to go deer hunting with Walter Mondale's party in Friends in northern Minnesota way back. So I knew, yeah, I was used to men having deer hunting rifles and stuff, and you just never went near that closet that had guns in. But they, times have changed. Later on in life, I also had a very good friend that became the victim of a murder. He shot her and shot himself, a murder suicide. Shocking among a large group of our friends here in Duluth, Minnesota. I just think there's too many guns available. What about people that, inherit a gun from their uncle? There's no tracing of that kind of stuff. Not that I know of, anyways. There are now, apparently, Minnesota now has passed some stricter gun laws and red flag laws. And for people that are charged with domestic abuse and violence and, that sort of thing. And then they have once or twice a year a gun show down at the main arena in Duluth. I'm going, what are they doing? Trading guns like trading cards down there? It irritates me. It just irritates me. And on top of it, I did have an uncle who, around 60 years old, did commit suicide. Another shocking thing in a small town. So they somehow get a hold of these guns. They're not locked up, and it's just tragic. These are average, good church-going people, so to speak. They're not. Oh, and then another friend of mine last summer, unbelievable. Her grandson was in the wrong place at the wrong time near a drug deal, and he got killed at age 37. Terrible, terrible things. That's just my comments.
Thank you, Laverne.
Mm-hmm. Too many guns available.
Thank you. Yep. All right, Jim, you are next. And unless you have anything to relay, Steve, Jim will go next.
Yeah, I just want to respond to Laverne regarding what you said about somebody getting a gun from somebody else. That somebody else that gets the gun is supposed to register that they have a gun. If they don't, the gun is still traceable back to the original purchaser. So it is not untraceable at that point. That's if the gun dealer that sold the gun followed the law and registered the gun to the original owner. And at a gun show, at least in Illinois now, they are controlled as much as, and this is recent legislation, they are controlled as much as a gun dealer. You have to do background checks before you sell it, even at a gun show. That's just a recent change to our law. So those are things, Laverne, that if those aren't in place in your state, you can use Illinois as an example. We have a lot of gun laws that we're leading the U.S. on. You can use it as examples, and talk to your state rep or state senator about proposing those laws.
Thank you, Jim, for that. Yes. And our school board members here probably don't know beans about some of this stuff. And I do know some of them too, and they know me. But I was also concerned about, like, way back when they didn't have all this registration of guns. People can inherit their grandpa's old pistol or something like that. So there's just other factors, and the whole mental health issue we could talk about for a long time on this. But very good presentation. Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Steve, and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laverne.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that looks to be like the last hand standing or lowering, however we want to look at that.
Right. Waving.
This is Natalie, it's probably a good time to wrap up. Excellent presentation.
I
Lots
think
of
it
questions.
is. We have gone past 8:30, which is our usual, point where we stop no matter what. So I'm so pleased that people were so engaged, and that Steve, excellent job. Thank you so much, and your stamina, your dedication to following up with all the questions is wonderful and amazing. And I think that we should now say thank you and good night.
Right. Thank you all. Good night.
Good night.
Thank
Good night,
you.
Melody.
Good
And
night. Thank you, Steve. Yes.
And the video of this presentation will be on the NWS, which stands for Northwest Suburbs, OFA.org website. When you go up onto our website, NWSOFA.org, you click on the tab that says YouTube video, and it gives you a link that'll take you to our YouTube channel. And you simply look for the tab that says live. And this is the latest of them. I noticed that we already had 3 or 4 people who are already had linked on. So thank you very much. That'll be available so far forever. Thank you so much, Natalie. We really appreciate all the work that you put in on organizing this and just getting all the information out there. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Bill. You're the one who really gets the information out. Super.
All right. We will see many of you at tomorrow's 9 a.m. Central Time Coffee and Conversation every Monday through Thursday, through Friday. Excuse me.
You're cutting off Friday now, huh?
And Friday, we actually have 2 calls, which are just for the attendees, just to express how they feel and what they're seeing. We have the Coffee and Conversation, 9 to 10. And then we have our Unhappy Happy Hour at 5 o'clock Central Time. The same link that you used to get into here today is the one you use for both. And as I said, these are all attendee driven. Join and be part of a great community. Thank you.